A couple days ago, on August 22nd, it was announced that there will be a Ryusta.tv livestream on the RGG Studio official channel. In the announcement post, it is said that they will discuss two very interesting topics. First of which is the broader topic, seemingly focused on RGG Kenzan and behind-the-scenes stories from the game's development. Second, and more interestingly, is a, quote, major announcement from Ryuka Studio. Now, what could these things mean? There are a few possibilities, but I want to lay out all the info we have about this stream, Kenzan itself, and finally, RGG's own trends in their announcements. Now, considering this entire livestream seems to be centered around Kenzan, it's gotta be said. What is RGG Kenzan? Ryuka Kenzan is the first game in the Yakuza or Like a Dragon franchise to release on PlayStation 3, and is the third title to release under the RGG name. Some of you watching might be thinking, wait a minute, I thought Yakuza 3 was the third game, and I thought that was the first PS3 title. And that would be correct for the West. RGG Kenzan released in 2008 for the PlayStation 3 in Japan, and only Japan. Kenzan's story is largely a mystery to me because I don't speak Japanese, but it has a lot in common gameplay-wise with Yakuza 3, since Kenzan was that game's blueprint. In this game, you play as Miyamoto Musashi, a real historical figure who was known to fight with two blades. And as such, that's one of your fighting styles in this game. And with that, this is also the first game in the series to give you multiple fighting styles. One for unarmed, and 4 different weapons between sword, dagger, sword and dagger, and finally the great sword. Kenzan is also a game that seems to have a lot of unique heat actions that were never adapted to the later games, so there are a lot of cool looking moves. Also regarding gameplay, since Kenzan isn't held back by the PlayStation 2, this game finally gives you a properly attached third-person camera during combat and overworld exploration, so that's neat, and yep, that's the best description I can give. I mean, playing this game is already a struggle since I'm constantly reading a guide on my second monitor, but I wish I could give more info. Oh, and by the way, if you're gonna ask, you are watching totally legitimate gameplay recorded on my very own PlayStation 3. Okay, you got me, so maybe it's emulated, but listen, okay, I tried to record Kenzan on the PS3, but I forgot that the PS3 has this weird copyright protection bullshit, and it just prevents you from outright recording gameplay through HDMI, and I need to buy an adapter, and fuck you Sony, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Kenzan was originally made with the intent of taking the beloved characters of Yakuza 1 and 2 and placing them in a different setting, in a different style, with new struggles, new stories to tell, and a brand new console to push the boundaries with breathtaking visuals. In reality, Kenzan was made to push the series onto the PS3 by experimenting with a spin-off game instead of risking the quality of a main series entry. And then they rushed out Yakuza 3 in like 8 months, so that was all for nothing. Now, even if you've not heard much about Kenzan, this story may seem similar to you because it's not the only time that RGG has done this. In 2014, RGG released Ryuga Gotoku Ishin, a spin-off of the main series set in 1860s Japan at the end of the Edo period, and wouldn't you know it, this just happened to be the first Yakuza game released for PlayStation 4, and only released in, you guessed it, Japan. Again, sticking to that philosophy. Of course, this is all old news at this point because in 2023 we were blessed with Like a Dragon Ishin, or Ishin Kiwami. This was a remake of Ishin, although more accurately it's a remaster because it's basically just all of Ishin's assets shoved into Unreal Engine, and maybe some minor graphical upgrades and gameplay tweaks, but not much changed. The reason I emphasize the lack of changes is because this justifies why RGG probably made Ishin Kiwami in the first place. It was easy. In contrast, Kenzan is, let's be honest, old. Its gameplay is somewhat dated, it has tons of unique areas that would take a ton of work to visually refurbish. RGG really didn't hold back on this game's world design. I mean, in just the starting area of Gion, you're immediately met with some of the most beautiful locales in the entire PlayStation 3 era. In general, this game is massive and would be a huge undertaking to remake in the modern day. And I can't even properly explain it to you because I haven't even fully played it. But with that out of the way, let's talk about the upcoming Ryusta stream and how this could tie into a potential remake of Kenzan. Last month on July 31st, we were presented with the last Ryusa livestream, where team members discussed development stories and behind the scenes info regarding the original Yakuza 2. On that very same day, Nintendo had their partner showcase, in which it was revealed that Yakuza Kiwami 2 would be coming to Nintendo Switch 2, and the timing of these two events was no doubt planned. And this is the exact same way Kenzan's stream is being presented, which could mean two things. Either we are going to get an announcement for a Kenzan remake, finally bringing this long-awaited title to modern consoles and many more languages, or the more realistic option. Because the previous stream was about Yakuza 2 and now this one is about Kenzan, it's highly likely that the Ryusta streams are beginning a trend of recapping the earlier games of the series in order, and providing development anecdotes and behind-the-scenes stories for games that are mostly washed away in the modern day. And this is simply a case of Kenzan being the title that releases after Yakuza 2, and thus is the next game to receive a dedicated livestream. Now, again, it is directly stated that we will be getting a major announcement, but take this into consideration. Would RGG really announce a brand new game in a Japanese-only livestream, which is usually dedicated to merchandise and funny discussions? I think there's no real way to predict what gets announced, but there are some things we could expect. First, we know they have two games in development, with Virtua Fighter 6 and Stranger Than Heaven, with very little gameplay being shown for either, so those seem like potential contenders for maybe some new gameplay reveals. Maybe we get a new character revealed for Virtua Fighter 6, cough cough Kiryu, cough cough. On the other hand, 2025 is the 20-year anniversary of the series, with Yakuza 1 being released on December 8th, 2005. It's been speculated that we would get an announcement close to that date, and the announcement of the next RGG Summit on that exact date could be likely as well. Now, in summary, there is a new Japanese-only livestream where the team will discuss a Japanese-only video game released nearly 2 decades ago. Does that scream new game announcement? Even though we've gotten hints toward a future remake of Kenzan, I doubt RGG would announce it during this stream. What's more likely is the announcement of the next Summit's date, and maybe gameplay from an upcoming release. I feel like it should be mentioned though that Like a Dragon Ishin was announced during a PlayStation State of Play in September 2022. If there does happen to be a State of Play sometime after this Ryusta stream, I would be scared. With that being said, none of this can be considered evidence, but if a week from now Kenzan Kiwami's announced, I'm just saying. Anyway, that's it for this video. Just a quick talk about the live stream and the odds of a Kenzan remake, but what do you think? What do you think the big reveal will be in this live stream? And also, what would you like to see from a Kenzan Kiwami? This is a topic that I could expand on in a future video, so I ask you, the viewer, if RGG were to make a Kenzan Kiwami in 2025, what would you like to see changed and what would you want upgraded? I would personally be excited to see the incredible world design brought to the current day Dragon engine and maybe a full-on expansion of the game's fighting styles. Either way, I'm excited at the prospect of a Kenzan remake, as I'm sure you are too, and there's no better place to leave off than that positive note. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye!